to start with this one. You guys got a mulligan after Richthofen blew up the Earth. Samantha was confused. She was still settling into her new home. No, wait, no. Actually, she was locked away, outside of reality itself. You freeing her was a big step in the right direction. Here's the thing. You have to remember, the order in which you experience things doesn't necessarily reflect the order in which they happen. Whatever way you look at it, though, it really was the beginning of the end. Or the end of the beginning.
Hey, we're Company Ralston Twice. I'm back here, and we will go through all the radios inside Zombie Chronicles. If you're unfamiliar with my series, when I do this type of stuff, when radios come out, I don't just play you the radios, I give you my breakdown and analysis narratively, because I want to add something to the conversation. It's all about a conversation, and let's talk about zombies. In particular, origins here. Dr. Monty changes his answer, which was brought up in the COD Zombie Reddit I saw at 1.2, and I do want to push that point a little further to wonder why Monty changes his mind. Is it just a slip of the tongue? Is it clearly Monty just being himself and he can't remember because he can't be bothered to figure out what's really going on? Or is it because he knows he's lying to our characters and he's trying to keep information from us? We experienced this in Go Rod Crovey where he started deceiving us, but why? It's a very strange question to try and figure out why is Dr. Monty acting the way he is about everything. It's really confusing to think that this is a good guy. I would say we should still be very skeptical of Dr. Monty. As we continue through, he seems like some sort of bad guy or anti-hero, almost like a Negan of sorts when it comes to The Walking Dead, where he doesn't really give a crap about us, but he's trying to advance his own goals and objectives that aren't necessarily evil, but aren't probably in the best benefit for everybody. Or maybe it's a utilitarian approach where it is everybody, but that hurts the few of us that we care about. Something to keep in mind. The next step was freeing Samantha right? Because if we take this approach that Dr. Monty is actually evil and he's trying to mess us up, and he says freeing Samantha was the right thing to do, maybe it wasn't. Maybe freeing Samantha causes the paradox to continue. Maybe it allows Monty to stay in his position of power and continue to manipulate us the way he has. Something interesting to keep in mind. And then the last point I wanted to bring up is the way we play through the maps is not the way it occurs, meaning that what we experience isn't necessarily linear, which I think we've all understand at this point, but it's good to rehash that so we all know when we play through the maps, that's not necessarily this happened and this happened and this happened. Even Zombie Chronicles is not the same as going through Black Ops 1. There are quotes that clearly indicate that while we play through the maps in Zombie Chronicles. I will make a separate video discussing what that means for us, about the Dempsey quote, still having the blood vials and stuff like that, in a later date. Like Sunday, probably, or later today, depending if I get home in time. Regardless, the timeline is linear in the sense that events do happen one after the other, but the dates attached to them are completely out of order because of all the 115 and all the space-time continuum tears.
Moon. It's gone now. Well, recently it has, but don't worry. I will make/have made a new one. But at this point in space and time, things were going to reach something of a crescendo. Richthofen. Crazy Richthofen. Evil Richthofen. Remember him? Fucking idiot blew up the Earth. It didn't really all go to plan, though, did it? If he even ever had a plan. He ended up trying to enlist the help of some other idiots left in the apocalyptic wasteland.
By far my favorite radio for Dr. Monty's case, because I was very much not liking Dr. Monty in the past, but this kind of felt great to me because he might have taken a jab at Jimmy Zielinski's storytelling here because maybe he didn't have a plan, and the reference to blowing up the moon. The interesting thing is that moon is being repaired by Dr. Monty right now. What does that mean? Does that mean Dr. Monty's repairing it for his perfect world in another dimension? What's going on in that sense? We'll have to see in the next game to find out. That's a direct reference to what's going to be coming in our future. We get a reference to the transit crew and what a mess it all was, and this radio just makes me laugh. All in all, where I'm just like, yes, this is how I felt about the moon ending because it really rocked our storyline in a way that hurt the narrative.
Shangri-La, the city of gold. No, hang on. I got that wrong. The city of gold was somewhere else. Well, it would have been if it actually existed. existed. Anyway, a lot of explorers went looking for it, believing that it might reveal the gateway to Agartha. Gasp. Two such misguided fools, Brock and Gary, they got themselves locked into a temporal loop, doomed to relive the same events over and over again. Poor souls. You know, that kind of thing happens more often than you realize. So, other than all that, Richthofen was looking for the golden rod, or some such thing. Can't say I know quite why. But that's Richthofen for you.
So by far one of the most baffling radios of the bunch, because there's a reference to Richthofen looking for the golden rod, but we know they went to call the dead to find the golden rod. Does Dr. Monty not know what's going on, or is he omitting information to us on purpose? He didn't know what was going on in Richthofen's grand scheme, and yet we know what did happen, so he should be able to say, oh, of course, Richthofen was coming here for the focusing stone so he could use the MPD to switch places with Samantha to take control of the zombies. But that didn't seem right. And then we start going back to the moon reference as well, and he said he blew up the Earth. Well, Richthofen didn't. Maxis blew up Earth to sever Richthofen's connection, which didn't work out, and then Richthofen tried to take back control, and all that stuff didn't work out again. So all of a sudden, these radios are starting to seem a little odd. As we're working backwards this time, you start to see something's weird with the storytelling from Monty's perspective. It's not the truth per se, it's something close to it, but it seems like he's slowly shifting certain points here and there. We do get an explanation about Brock and Gary, which is easy, you can put that to rest, and we get an El Dorado reference for some reason, telling us there is no City of Gold or El Dorado, which is like, well, that's interesting.
Ascension, the Russian cosmodrome. I know Nikolai can be a bit down on Soviet technology, but the Ruskies really pulled one out of the bag that time. The Ascension group built a bloody great rocket. It actually worked a treat, too. You remember Gersh, bald guy, fought alongside you for a while? I think Richthofen was off somewhere at the time. Anyway, Gersh ran into a little bit of dimensional distortion. Honestly, why do you insist in meddling with stuff you don't understand? Of course, all their experiments just stirred the reality soup even more. You ended up fighting monkeys. Space monkeys at that. As I'm sure you know, monkeys are thieving little bastards. Give them half a chance and they'll nick anything that isn't nailed down. So, in answer to a question Richthofen once asked, I don't love a monkey.
Yesterday I made a video about this, so if you want to check out more detail about what consequences this radio has, it's probably one of the most important radios out of them because it explains a lot of things. But people started talking and saying he says ball man instead of bald man. That makes no sense in the context of everything that we've learned so far. Unless Treyarch really wants to go that route, I really think it's the accent of Dr. Monty telling us that it's the bald man. Jason said he would address this and he would answer who the bald man was in the Ascension First Strike poster. So I don't understand why it would be ball. Some people are arguing because he's a ball in Ascension. He's an ethereal orb, so I guess orb to ball, but just like none of the characters have ever referenced him as a ball. Maybe Dempsey has a ball light, but there's not that many quotes supporting that. Normally they refer to Gersh as some weird entity, some ethereal force, and Gorod Crovey, he's an unstable blob going back and forth. I don't think it's a ball, but that's the fun part about these debates and zombies. It's a conversation, so we can continue to debate whether he says ball or bald. Who knows? Anywho, Ascension Group is confirmed, by the way. I love that because we never had official canon. I think the timeline did as well confirm it, but it's so nice to actually hear Ascension Group because that's the terminology everyone in the community used. We coined that. Treyarch wasn't like, we're going to make the Ascension Group. We called them the Ascension Group, and that's what it became to be. And once again, I want to talk about that dimensional distortion or experiments causing the soup to stir in life. It's really interesting to see that what they cause, these experiments cause these monkeys or causes Gersh to be ripped through time and be distorted through his many selves, whether it's the mirrors or the soup that's going on. Very interesting wording by Dr. Monty and impact on the story.
Kino der Toten, Theater of the Dead. I don't know why it wasn't Untoten, but I suppose the whole living dead thing is something of an oxymoron. I like that word. Oxymoron. Been very useful when trying to identify all the contradictory chaos I've had to untangle. Anyway, Group 935 were back to their old tricks. Been in an old cinema. I don't know why. Maybe they wanted to watch some old movies. That was where you first saw the house, wasn't it? Well, part of it anyway. Samantha's room. Remember? You probably don't, but trust me. Have a look. It's there, all right.
A similar radio that could be leading to more in the future when we reflect back on it, but Dr. Monty explains all the inconsistencies in the story, kind of takes a second here to be like, nothing makes sense, and I'm piecing it all together for you, because that was literally a commentary on what the storyline used to be. And we also got our first look at the house, confirmed that those rooms are the house. We kind of knew that, we assumed that, even though there's inconsistency between the rooms in the houses. So which one is the correct house? Is there multiple houses that we got to worry about in the storyline? Oh boy, the multiverse, but the limited multiverse.
Did I say that right? I've not really put the effort into learning Japanese. In some ways, that's where it really
Gobble,
started
gobble,
for
gum
you
time.
guys. It's also where Fluffy returned, right? Well, when I say returned, I'm referring more to her offspring, her little pups. They grew big, didn't they? More importantly, they started showing signs of food aggression. Whoa, that's never good. Gotta say, I still prefer an angry dog to any kind of cat. I know it's wrong to generalize, but frankly, all cats are evil little shits.
We get an excellent explanation for all the hellhounds in Shinonuma and why they first started in Shinonuma and not so much in Derice, where the first experiment happened. In Derice, when we teleported Fluffy, the dog that was pregnant, Samantha's dog, all of her little puppies ended up growing up somehow through all the 115 displacement and temporal rift nonsense and being teleported to Shinonuma, where they might have been experimented on more, or whatever happened. When all the puppies went away, maybe they were given to Division 9 for experiments. It's left open to interpretation for good reason. Also, our characters met here, so this is again coming back to the Ultimus crew meeting here. Also, Cat Zombie, I like that idea. Possibly if we go to an Egyptian map, maybe we can make some badass evil-looking cat zombie things that we can absolutely hate on. And I'm appreciating Dr. Monty's humor right now. We'll see if it gets on my nerves again in the future.
Electroshock therapy, chemically engineered beverages, hordes of undead Nazis. Find the power to unite and send them back to their graves. Can you believe that's how I actually described it back then? It was an asylum. It was also a horrible, terrible, grim, depressing place. I'd give you a full explanation of everything that happened there, but it would only be horrible, terrible, grim, depressing. Oh, fuck. You weren't there either. But then you were.
So Dr. Monty's changing the names of maps, and it's almost like he sounds like he's created these maps. Is he like the mastermind of what we're going through? Is he actually manipulating us for some different task that he had in mind? Is he under the influence of 115 delusions and manipulations? Is there only one Dr. Monty? Something weird, it really went haywire in this radio. Why is he changing the description that we get on our loading screens? He's really kind of breaking a fourth wall here in a really odd sense of the term. Also, our characters are again confirmed to not be in Verrucht initially, but during these distortions and everything that's happening in Black Ops 1 and Chronicles, all of a sudden they're here again. Weird.
That translates as Night of the Dead. I learned that tonight. Been trying to scrub up on my German, you see. Anyway, it happened in an old concrete building on an airfield somewhere. I don't know where. I remember it being really small, simple by today's standards. I think there was a fog. Not a lot of it, certainly not coming into the building itself. You know what I just realized? You weren't even there. At least not at first. It was some other random, forgettable soldiers that had the misfortune to live through that horrible night. Or Nacht, as it was actually known. Yeah, I speak German now.
It would seem Monty has a fog joke because the community with all the fog rolling in. I enjoy that reference. And also, Nocturne and Toten, we weren't here either. Again, calling back to these weird cycles our characters are going through where originally the Marines are there, then we come back in Black Ops 1, then we come back in Zombie Chronicles. There always seems to be something off about returning to these maps with our 1.0s, with our Ultimus characters. Are they the same 1.0s and Ultimus? Some people told me that Jason confirmed that in an interview, but Zombie Chronicle quotes are saying otherwise, and even the radios are saying otherwise. So we have a lot of conflicting and interesting information to speculate on going forward. I'd love to know your thoughts about all the radios in the comments down below. I talked long enough, so I hope you did enjoy this video. Leave a rating if you did. A lot of the transcriptions came from the COD Reddit, so you can go check out that. I'll link that in the description down below if you want to go see all of them transcribed in text. And also, I'm selling my posters. You're probably sick to death of hearing this. So, to summarize, I have these awesome perk posters and fan-made posters that I commission real artists, professional artists to make. Go over to radcompany.com or radrendering.com, and you can go purchase them if you want. You have disposable income, you want some cool posters. They're 12 by 18 inches. They all ship May 30th, so they'll be out there, and they stop selling the 22nd of May. It's a pre-order period. That's it. That's all she wrote. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for all your Call of Duty Zombie needs, entertainment news, and awesome videos coming out in a variety of ways over the summer. I'm Ralston27, and I'll see you in the next video.